na'am from Allah, and that it is intended to give me strength to serve Allah, develop my soul, and gain God consciousness rather than my desires, I will not be happy in this life, and in the hereafter my soul will not prosper. I ask you to ponder and reflect on that for a moment. Read it yourself and just take that in. I have to be continuously conscious of God to know Him and to worship Him and to love Him more than I love myself. If all I'm talking about is I, that's sort of what we call narcissism. I'm only interested in my lower desires. But when I say He, Bismillah, in and through the name of Allah I go. Fi Sabilillah, by and in the power of Allah. When I get ready to sleep, if I am not aware of how I have served my Creator that day, and if when I awake, I do not have that internal spirit, ruh, inside of me activated, alive, and connected to Allah, my deeds and actions will not be filled with the spirit, with the ruh. If I get up and say, oh my God, well, we won't even say that. Say, oh no, it's another day of Ramadan. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I just, oh, it's so hard. Oh. Then we will miss the spiritual gym and we will just be in the physical gym, trying to just be hungry and thirsty. In my walking, talking, and silence, in my walking, talking, and silence, I must be connected to the source of peace if I am to develop a genuine, sincere, thankful, reverence, love, attachment, yearning, and longing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I don't have this connection, my activities are spiritless and lifeless. They're not worth very much. Our religion teaches us that we should and ought to be striving in our awareness of Allah to be more and more aware of Allah, that is, aware that Allah is ever watchful into our hearts and outside of us. We say often Allah is all-knowing and all-hearing, but do we act like Allah is all-knowing and all-hearing? Do we experientially know and feel, and is our behavior indicative of one that knows that Allah is all-knowing and all-hearing? Or is it just words? Is it just physical words? I say them, but they're not in my heart. I don't have that spiritual conviction. I just have a sort of physical, I can say it. Allah is all-knowing of what lies in our breast, inside of our chest, and in our hearts. Allah is always ever watchful over everything, every aspect of our being, both seen and unseen.
Yeah.
When we are truly aware of Allah's all-knowingness, when we are aware that it is the internal spiritual dimension that needs to be developed and focused upon, it will affect the realities of where we go, what we say, what we do, and who we do it with. The less this awareness is inside of you and me, intellectually, emotionally, and experientially, the less there is life to my words, deeds, activities, and worship. In the month of Ramadan, I remember that it is the month of abstaining, that it is the month to gain God consciousness, that it is the month to extol Allah. Then I will strive to focus on my soul and put ruh in what I say and what I do, my fasting and my breaking of the fast. This is the dimension that we are to strive to develop in this blessed month. I must put soul. I must put ruh. I must connect with Allah. And when I do that, I will not behave like a lifeless, soulless, spiritless robot, but I will be responsible and connect with Allah emotionally, experientially, physically, intellectually, and spiritually. When we talk about the wajah concept, it is the whole self. It is the countenance. It is what you project. It is your physical body. It is your spiritual. It is everything. We say that my living and my dying is for Allah. It is a whole self-concept. Every single aspect of me is surrendering to Allah. This is the spirit of Ramadan and the spirit of fasting. Examining the word Ramadan has in it something very special to ponder, contemplate, and reflect about regarding its inner dimension. The word Ramad is the root of Ramadan, and it has several interesting meanings. Ramad means to burn. It burns not in an intense or violent way, but in a gentle way. It burns away our sins. The internal lower base passions and appetites burn inside of us. Interestingly enough, quite occasionally in the Arabic language, sometimes one word has two opposite meanings depending upon the context. Ramad also means a special rain that comes from the environment of the Arabian desert when it falls in the fall season, not in the winter, but when it is in the fall season, the season between the seasons. That rain is usually a gentle rain. There is something about rain that makes me happy. I love thunderstorms, and it's wonderful to live in the lightning capital of the world. And I love to watch rain.
Me too.
And rain during the summer is an added bonus because it cools everything off. The raindrops bring with them a sign. When Allah cools the heated ground by the coolness of the droplets, His mercy pours. When He wets the dry earth by the rain, His mercy pours. For a believer, the month of Ramadan is like that rain during summertime. For 11 months, the believer has struggled fighting the shaitan, works hard toward pleasing Allah, and as a bonus, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses his year with the pleasure of Ramadan, when it rains of Allah's mercy and forgiveness, not for 1, 2, or 3 days, but an entire month. Allahu Akbar. In Surah Al-Hajj, Surah 22 and verse 5. And you see the earth barren, but when we send down upon it rain, it quivers and swells and grows something of every bountiful kind. My prayer for you in this month of Ramadan is that you will quiver and swell spiritually. That you'll get fat and plump and big and tall spiritually. This verse and several others use the metaphor of rain, which when it falls on the right piece of land produces vegetation of trees, flowers, and fruits that benefit everyone. Through this metaphor, Allah is inviting the believers to prepare the land, their hearts and soul, for this rain, for this guidance that has been sent to them in this blessed month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan is analogous to the season of spring, Sha'ban. In this month, a believer prepares the garden by removing the weeds, seeding the soil and watering the ground in hopes of beautiful flowers and tasty fruits later in the year. That's my prayer. That in this month of Sha'ban, as we have studied it, and as we have pondered and reflected, that you have tilled the soil, that you have put all of the minerals that are necessary so that in this month of Ramadan, you're going to have just flowers in your spiritual garden. Beautiful trees, huge growth in your spiritual garden. What an amazing month. The same goes for the heart of a believer. The more prepared the heart is, the better it is able to receive and retain this divine guidance and travel towards Allah. A deep understanding of this aspect of purification of the heart goes a long way in attaining our goals during this blessed month of Ramadan. We must have intention and determination, folks. Intention creates the desire, the consciousness, and the determination, which in turn produces the required efforts for a task or goal, the intention of attaining piety, taqwa. And this requires a relationship with the Quran and its author. One whereby you don't just read physically, that you don't have a clue what you read. I read my juice today, alhamdulillah. Well, what did it say? I don't know. I don't remember a thing I read, but I got it read. It was a physical exercise. Rather, at your state and my state or station, read a few verses and say, oh Allah, make this garden grow for me. Expand my understanding. Help me to connect with you in these few verses and to see your majesty and what it means in my life. Perhaps the deeper meaning of this is that Ramadan cleanses and washes out in a gentle and generous way our sins. But if you go through it angry because of what was served at iftar, or you go through it angry because you missed suhoor, or you go through it angry just because, then at the end you'll just be more angry. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us that even the words chosen for the month in which we fast have deep, inner, and special beauty.
Money, bag.
I'm going to stop here because we have Jeopardy today, and I want us to prepare for that. If somebody would remind me that I stopped at slide 62.
62.
Somebody from that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.